On Wednesday, July 3rd, 2019, exactly 2 weeks after he first stopped by the house, I was preparing to get my rail delivered. First, I had to put the wheel back on the handcar. Right here, I'm hammering in a cotter pin so that the axle and the wheel are better connected and nothing flies apart. I could make a Polar Express reference here, but I'm just too lazy and tired to do that. And I was told to expect my rail delivery to happen between 10:30 and 11 in the morning. Now that's fairly late in the morning, but still I slept in because the previous day I went to Denton Farm Park to watch the steam engines just sit there. And I had gotten up at 5 o'clock in the morning because I thought I need to get an early start to watch the trains just sitting there. So I got up early and left and wore myself out at Denton Farm Park, running around, running beside trains and dropping my camera case in the parking lot. And having to spend $15 to replace that. So I ended up sleeping an hour later than I intended. And by the time my rail was delivered, I didn't have much set up at all. I was hoping to have all my cross ties set up and leveled out by the time Gary got there with the railroad track, or tubes, whatever you want to call it. But he got there before I could even get one cross tie set up. And he said, "Don't worry about it, I'm gonna mow somebody's yard, I'll be back in about an hour or so." So after removing my rails from the trailer, which I did not get on camera, I began leveling out my track. And I used bricks and whatever to lift the cross ties up. As soon as I got to where everything seemed to be level, I started screwing the bolts in, and so on and so on and so on. This went on for some time, of course. After getting the train tracks lined up fairly close, I needed to find myself a measuring tape, which wasn't that hard, but I also had to find something to actually screw the train track down. And I had talked with my dad the previous night, and he said, "We have a drill that'll do the trick in the red bag," he said, "in the utility room." And I didn't bother to look that night, so that morning I looked and couldn't find it. And it turns out it was not in the red bag in the utility room, it was in the gray cabinet in the garage. So we found it eventually, and I prepared to actually put my handcar on the train tracks and test it out. Really, it is difficult to move a handcar through mud. Oh, I'm sorry. And so I prepared to put the first screw into the cross tie. That's not really a cross tie. First one in. What? Yeah. And so after screwing the first rail in place just enough to keep it from moving, I went to screw the second rail down when I noticed that it was not far enough apart from the other one. And I did attempt to move it further apart, but unfortunately there was some stuff in the way, so I had to clean my mess up again, and then I put the second screw into the rail. I continued to screw down the rail to my sort of cross ties and a couple of real cross ties until it was mostly secure. Now I had finally gotten most of the rails screwed down. I had used tape measure to make sure that the tracks were all the right gauge, and I had finally decided I would lift my handcar up onto the tracks to see if it rolled right.
Full battery, full charge, space.
Oh, so you're not even gonna have to lift it up, you can just roll it.
Yeah. That's part of my genius plan was make it so that the rails are almost level with the ground.
You want to push?
No, I think
Just kind of hold.
lifting it up on that first board. Here it goes. Gearing for the first one right. There it goes. You ready to set the second one on there? So now seems to roll beautifully. Give me just a second to screw the last couple in. I'll just put.
After rolling it just those couple of inches, I knew that the handcar and this rail, everything was going to work. So I did my best to put as many screws in as I could before Gary got there, and it turns out that my dad was also coming home early. So I was going to try to have it ready by the time everybody got there, and so woo, we could all celebrate its wonderfulness.
What?
Here it comes.
Yeah. Might find something to stick over the train track. I was looking for chain something. There's a chain. They do their stuff.
Oh, really? They just put a chain on it?
Yeah. Ready? This is only the first run. This is the first run. I got. Let me set this up.
You did a
little
good
bit
job.
further.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the first run on my tubular rails.
Oh my God, that's where I used to get my stuff.
Ready?
Here we go.
Let's see if I put the gap in that clear. What?
Roll off the end.
And that was the first run on the tubular rails. And here is the first run back on the tubular rails. Also, if you look real closely here, there's a little bit of wheel slip. Let's see if we can get a close-up of that. And so that's how we put the tubular rails down. And that's how well the handcar rolls across it. This rail is a lot cheaper than real rail, of course. Even the lightest park train rail is expensive. Like more than $7 a foot, I think. And this is only less than $100 for 20 feet's worth of material. So, in theory, if I had 1,000 subscribers, I could get about 150 feet of rail for every million views. So, please like, comment, and subscribe, and eventually I will be able to put a little bit more rail, and maybe I'll be selling pump car rides going around the yard within a year or so. So please like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.